Hello everyone and welcome to Mike's After Action Reviews. I recently was able to play the beta on PS4 for Marvel's Avengers, which comes out next month, September 4th. And spoiler alert, I really liked what I saw and I'm very excited for this title. So, without further ado, this is my After Action Review for Marvel's Avengers beta. If you liked Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, I think that you will really enjoy this game. I played every character through multiple missions. They all feel unique, and the game does a very good job of making you feel like the character that you're playing. Here's a breakdown of how the heroes play and the abilities that we see them use in the beta. Thor relies on throwing the hammer and using lightning attacks for area of effect damage. His L1 ability, Warrior's Fury, is an area of effect damaging attack with lightning striking enemies around the battlefield for a few seconds.
Whoa, Thunder Gun! Who said you could have all the fun?
Iron Man's heavy attack is ranged, and he is built for flying around battles and taking down enemies from a distance. He has multiple different ranged armaments to switch between, including repulsors, lasers, and rockets. His L1 ability, Arc Overload, releases an energy wave, damaging enemies around him and empowering his attacks for a time. His R1 ability, the Unibeam, do you really need to know more? His L1R1 ability, Hulkbuster, calls in the Hulkbuster armor for himself or an ally. Hulk does not really need to rely on dodging or blocking as much as other heroes, because holding down R2 gives him a buff that increases his damage and shields him from enemy attacks. With his L1 ability, Bone Shaker, Hulk smashes the ground, damaging enemies around him. With his R1 ability, Stranglehold, Hulk grabs an enemy and slams them into the ground, dragging them along for a short distance. Hulk's L1R1 ability, Thunderclap, is an area of effect damage attack that does massive damage to enemies in a cone in front of him.
Tony, Thor, the cables! I'll handle the freak.
Black Widow heavily utilizes stuns and QTEs to bring down enemies. She also uses a grappling hook to get around battles quickly and dual pistols to attack at range. With her L1 ability, Veil of Shadows, Black Widow can make herself and her teammates invisible for a short time. With her R1 ability, Widow's Bite, Black Widow fires an electrically charged bolt at an enemy, stunning them and dealing damage over time. With her L1R1 ability, Power Surge, Black Widow empowers her melee attacks. Captain America has his shields to block and attack with, and like Black Widow uses QTEs. With his R1 ability Steamroller, Cap can throw his shield and bounce it off multiple enemies, building their stun meters, and then his shield returns to his hand. With his L1 and R1 ability, Brooklyn Brawler, he performs an area of effect attack that does damage to all enemies that surround him.
Hulk? Hulk!
Ms. Marvel is a nice hybrid of agility and strength. She relies on dodges and blocks, but her abilities buff her melee attacks. Ms. Marvel is also able to use her ability to stretch herself in order to zip around the battlefield, much like Black Widow. Her L1 ability, Healing Spirit, heals herself and allies around her. Her R1 ability, High Five, is a ranged attack in which she grows her hand and launches it forward, damaging enemies it hits. Her L1 and R1 ability, Embiggen, empowers Ms. Marvel, growing her giant and increasing the damage of her attacks. Not everything that we see in the beta is perfect. The block mechanics follow what is almost the industry standard at this point, by mimicking the Arkham games, with players seeing the enemies flash with different colored indicators to signal the player to press the block or dodge button. But while in Arkham the indicator appears over enemies' heads, here it appears as a circle in the center of the enemy's body, which is too easy to miss, in my opinion, making blocking more difficult than it should be. I was slightly disappointed with the gear in that it changes stats, but does not change the character's appearance, and although this is not necessarily a game killer for me, it could be seen as a missed opportunity by the game developers. One small thing that I thought the developers could have done better is Iron Man's Hulkbuster ability. When you activate the ability, the Hulkbuster armor materializes out of a holographic image. This is fine, but I think that they really missed out on being able to have the armor fall from the sky like something out of Titanfall, or even the Age of Ultron movie. My last big critique that I have for the combat in this game is that the cooldowns for some of the abilities feel just a bit too long. The characters' abilities bring their uniqueness to bear, and, in my opinion, should be more prevalent in combat through the use of shorter cooldowns. It looks like Crystal Dynamics intends to design super strong heroes like Thor and the Hulk to have heavy attacks and not need to dodge or block so much, and physically weaker heroes will rely on dodging and blocking and building up a stun meter on enemies in order to activate QTEs for higher damage output. I like this choice in the combat mechanics because it brings balance to the physically weaker heroes in a way that the player can make sense of. By showing the technical way in which Black Widow and Captain America bring down larger enemies through the use of QuickTime events, it brings their capabilities nicely to scale in comparison to the Hulk, who would just steamroll over the same enemy with heavy punches and no technique at all. In closing, I just want to say that I know that some people are already criticizing certain aspects of this game. And I think that while those criticisms may be valid in the final product, it would be premature for me to agree with the people who say that this game is going to be bad outright. We, at least in my opinion, got some pretty good combat mechanics, and I did really, when I was flying around as Iron Man, I felt like Iron Man. And when I was smashing people up with the Hulk, I felt like the Hulk. So I liked that aspect of the game, and I liked the combat, especially with Iron Man. Being able to switch between lasers, rockets, and repulsors, and then when you do your heavy attack, you laser people around or shoot rockets at them. I thought that was pretty good, and it kind of emulated what he does in the movies, so I liked that a lot. The story missions that we got from A-Day, and then with Ms. Marvel and Hulk searching out for Tony Stark, there's great potential there. And no reason for anybody to say that the story's not going to be good right now, because we just don't have enough of it. So, at this point, I think that I like the combat, and we'll see what happens with the story when it comes out. So, don't go around telling people that I said that this was going to be a great game, because I didn't. I just said that I liked what I saw in the beta so far. We'll see what happens with the story. I understand people's disappointment with some of the loot systems. That's not why I'm here anyway, because looter-shooter style stuff was never my thing ever since Diablo Lord of Destruction came out, okay? Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction came out. I haven't been into looting games. But, anyway, I hope that you liked this video. Please drop a comment in the comment section to tell me what you think that I may have done great or may have done very badly. Give me a like. Shares definitely help. We're trying to get the word out and grow the channel. But anyway, thank you for watching my video, and have a blessed day.